Hello everyone, my name is Josh and this is Whimsical and Interesting Musings, and today I want to do a review for one of my favourite Inside No. 9 episodes, Diddle Diddle Dumping. Now this particular episode follows David, a man who when he's out for a jog one day, he basically comes across a number 9 size shoe. And from there he starts to question where the hell did the shoe come from? Who does it belong to? And why is it just left on the side of the road, on the curb of the road? So he takes the shoe home and he basically is puzzled. He tells his wife, played by Keely Hall, who says things that, oh yeah, it could be, just from anybody. Like, where did you keep the jam jars from the school fete? I wanted to use them for something and things like that. But David just basically is quite taken aback and puzzled by the origin of the shoe. Where did the shoe come from? What's happened? And from there, pretty much, there's an entire saga with him trying to figure out what the shoe is and who the shoe belongs to. And it is a really funny episode. It's probably one of my favourite episodes in terms of humour because it basically takes a very bizarre idea, like one of those little tangents that you go on, like, I wonder what happened to that thing that I saw the other day, kind of thing on the road, or whatever, like little pieces of life that really get your attention, and then you're just going to think to yourself, I wonder what was going on there, and you're usually when you're a writer, your mind goes over time and you start to think up stories and ideas and all sorts of different things. But in this case, he basically is so obsessed to it to the point where it literally could drive him insane. Like there's even a moment where he says he creates a flyer for the shoe, and he says missing one black man's shoe, and he goes, I didn't know whether it was a black man's shoe or a white man's shoe, can never read usually. And I thought that was funny. But then there's a great moment where his wife's on the phone and she goes, it's a neighbour, and he goes, ask what size shoe it is or ask what colour it is, and don't be on the phone too long, otherwise people might want to get through, kind of thing. And it really shows how obsessed this guy is, and his wife's beginning to wonder what is it about this shoe that's got him so obsessed. And it even gets to the point where even if she was having an affair, I don't even think he would notice. Like, he's one of those people who's so obsessed with this shoe that he literally wouldn't even see his own wife having an affair as anything particularly all that important if she was. Because there's a moment in one of the scenes of the episode where he literally they have a friend over, played by Steve Pemberton, who is literally talking casually to Keely Hawk's character, and he goes, I saw a shoe the other day, it just was out on the side of the road, and he goes, that's interesting, and he goes to go and touch it, and he goes, don't touch it, be careful, and things like that, like he's cradling a baby or something, or he's about to touch a baby, kind of thing. It really is kind of funny in how bizarre this concept is and how funny it is. But then as the episode goes on, you begin to realise that, oh my god, there's got to be something more here. Like, he can't just be simply, obsessed with this shoe. And if you pay attention to the art deco of the house, it does give you a pretty big clue that he has some kind of OCD or some kind of, need for symmetry, because his house literally is very Kubrickian in the sense that Stanley Kubrick, if you're familiar with the work of the filmmaker Stanley Kubrick, he loves his symmetry in films. When it comes to certain shots, he loves his symmetry. He loves to have characters, diverge to the point where one side of the room is one half of something and the other side of the room is another half of something. And sometimes there'll be very broad statements, like in the opening of A Clockwork Orange, where it's panning out of Alex's face and you're literally just seeing him as Droogs, and the people at the Kroger Milk Bar, the people standing with their arms folded like this facing each other. Like, little shots like that. And there's many others. There's a couple in 2001: A Space Odyssey. But he loves his symmetry, and he loves, having each side of the shot have sort of like a contrast to each other almost. And you can definitely see that because Steve Pemberton are no strangers to making film references in their work. Like, a lot of their previous work in League of Gentlemen is very film inspired. Like, they even said that we focus more on films when we're thinking about you know, the humour in League of Gentlemen, because that's how we get the jokes. We don't often, you know, use material from other comics or anything like that. We usually try to keep to our own palette of storytelling when it comes to telling certain jokes. And yeah, we definitely do get that here. But what's very interesting is it's not just a simple homage to Kubrick. It's not just a simple stylistic homage to Kubrick. It feels more like we're actually telling you something about the character, what's going on in his head, by having the house be all symmetrical, by having one chair either side of the room, or having literally cabinets that have two glasses on each side of the cabinet, so that when it looks like it's, so that when we see the characters in certain shots in profile, they literally look symmetrical. They complement the shot, the shot symmetry by having them in the middle, kind of thing. It really is an interesting idea, and it feels more like it's telling you more about the character than it is just a simple homage. Even though that's exactly what it is, it still manages to tell you, okay, this character has an obsession with OCD. He's very OCD aware, and it really is a clever idea. And of course, when you see the actual film, you actually really do realise, oh, there's something more to this. Clearly, it isn't just simply a fact of, oh, he's obsessed with this shoe. And I have to give credit to Reece Shearsmith's acting, because honestly, this performance, if you played it any other way, it would very easily be considered kind of, okay, why should we care about this? So this guy really is obsessed with finding the owner of the shoe, but why? And Reece Shearsmith manages to do a very wonderful thing where he manages to make this guy, who on the surface could look very selfish and very kind of careless and, you know, very, you know, inconsiderately, you know, absorbing all his time in this one activity, when in reality, this is basically, and this is going to be a little hint to the twist. So if you haven't seen Diddle Diddle Dumping, you can catch it on iPlayer. I would definitely recommend it. It's a great episode. It's one of my favourite episodes of Inside No. 9. So if you haven't seen the episode, go and watch it on iPlayer and come back to hear my thoughts on the twist. Hopefully all you guys who haven't seen this episode are gone. But for the rest of us who've seen this episode, it basically is made clear that what David is going through is he is basically going through a loss. And we find this out after he, it seems, through various attempts at getting the shoe noticed, including setting up a website and going on the radio and being utterly humiliated on the radio in a very hilarious but also kind of very sad scene. You almost really feel sorry for him, because you can tell that there's something, you can tell he's going somewhere with this, even though technically it could be considered by a lot of people on the outside as insane, and things like that. Like it's the stuff that you put into things that really matters. It's not so much what you do that's the real focus. It's what you put into that certain thing. It's like when you give gifts for Christmas. Like if you don't have the money for an expensive gift, just giving someone something is just enough to really kind of make them feel how much you mean to them, kind of thing. It's that kind of philosophy here, where it's not so much the act that he's trying to get this shoe back to its owner, it's more what it represents to him in his head. And he gets an offer from someone who says, oh, it's this colour shoe. And he goes through this entire process where it feels almost like a security check. Like he's saying that, oh, you know, it's like he's one of those people who pull you over for drink driving kind of thing. Like he's like going, oh, count backwards from Z to A or something like that. Like count backwards in your ABCs or something like that. And walk in a straight line kind of thing. Like he goes through all these processes that really kind of make them, that really kind of test your patience and make you go, oh, well, clearly he's doing something to be extra sure. But then he starts showing him pictures of the soles of the shoe, so that he can basically marks an A through C, and he goes, is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? And he goes, can I see B again, please? And what I love is that the guy's humouring him. Like he's actually, you know, saying, okay, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And I find it really hilarious. It's such a hilarious bit. And I really just think the fact that he literally is humouring him, and he goes, oh, which one is it? A, B, or C? And he goes, can I see B again, please? And then he starts to, you know, go through it again. And he goes, yeah, I think it's B. And then I think it's C. And then he goes, oh, okay. And then he's about to give him the shoe, and the moment where he hands it over, it made me laugh originally, and it still made me laugh even watching it just a few minutes ago. It still makes me laugh, even though I know what the twist is. But the fact that he literally has this moment where he's like going, just give me a moment, I'm finding this really hard, actually. It still kind of makes you laugh, even though technically, even though you know the twist is coming, there still is that little bit of, there is that still that little bit of comedic potential where you're kind of going, okay, this is still funny, even though technically it is still really sad when you know the context of what's actually going on. But Reece Shearsmith really does a good job of really kind of selling the heartache of this particular story. And when I first watched this for the very first time, I literally thought that he was using the shoe to find a companion or getting attention because he doesn't feel like he's fulfilled in his marriage. I literally felt like that was going to be the twist, where he's literally trying to do it, because he literally says to the owner of the shoe when he leaves, like, you know where we are, so remember to call me if you need any, and then he just shuts the door before he can finish the sentence. So it kind of gave me the impression it was a great red herring to make me think that, oh, maybe he's just looking for a friend or something like that, or something more. Maybe he's, struggling with his sexuality or something, like maybe he's, looking for a boyfriend or something like that. But then I thought, no, that's obviously not a twist. But then when you actually find out what the twist is, it's actually a little bit more sadder, because it's actually a lot more sadder because you realise that their son, Joseph, sadly passed away, and he was a twin, and he died very tragically. I think it was to do with an incubation problem. But his wife literally says, it's been 7 years. And he goes, well, is it an expiration date now? Like, I didn't realise that there was a time limit on, grief or something like that. And she goes, who cares about the bloody shoe and things like that? And he goes, it isn't just about the shoe. It's about what the shoe represents to him. And again, this particular twist is a surprise, but at the same time, you do kind of think to yourself, C. Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith are such clever writers where they know when to incorporate clues. Sometimes the clues are just staring you in the face, and you don't really realise it until you watch the episode back that they're literally dropping hints left, right, and centre what the twist is going to be. And all the time, you're literally watching it going, where is this going? Like, where is this actual story going? But this episode is just hilarious. It does everything for me in terms of comedy, and it does everything in terms of a good story, because a good writer can make anything compelling. And Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton have really done a good job here of really kind of taking this idea that seems very small to a lot of people and managed to make it like a really big deal. And that's something that I really do have to give them credit for with this episode, because I just felt like it was genius. I literally had to clap when I first saw this. Like, literally, I just had this little moment where I was like, yeah, well done, Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. Like, well done for that twist, for that entire story. It was just all fantastic. So I really do like the episode. I did actually think the first time round that he'd actually killed his own daughter, because he says at one point during the wife's confrontation where he goes, they should be together because she is a twin, like she's the twin of the boy who died, Joseph. So you really do get this impression that, oh my god, has he actually killed his daughter in order to make sure that there's a little bit of symmetry? And it's a really horrific idea, but what's very compelling is I kind of wish they left it open as to whether or not he actually killed his daughter. I personally think they should have done, because it would have been even more disturbing. But I can kind of see why, they could have decided to say, oh, he went to Norwich and killed Ted, the one who claimed the shoe, because it's much more easier to do that than to say that, oh, we need to leave up in the air of whether or not he actually killed his own daughter, kind of thing. But I do feel like it was an interesting episode. It was a great idea, and I absolutely really think it's the funniest episode I've seen of the show. And I like I just like the humour. I like how Reece Shearsmith delivers jokes, especially when it comes to characters like this who are very neurotic. Like, there's even one joke in one episode called Misdirection, another great episode, where one of his assistants goes, "Why don't you dress like Dynamo with a hoodie?" And then he goes, "If I want to sell drugs, if I want to look like I sell drugs down Asda car park, I'll happily do it. But for now, I'm just doing this, like wearing this." And I thought that's brilliant. It's hilarious. So Reece Shearsmith is a fantastic actor, whether he's doing comedy or drama. I said this when I did my separate review for Wise Owl. I feel like he's one of those actors. Steve Pemberton tends to get a lot of praise when it comes to his acting, but I think Reece Shearsmith deserves a lot of credit too, because he really does a good job of really going to these dark places. But he manages to really walk that fine rope of comedy and drama very exceptionally well, and I think this is one of his best performances in that regard. But the fact that he's got a great actress like Keely Hawkes playing his wife, who a lot of people would know as the minister or the secretary for the Prime Minister in The Bodyguard. She was also in the show Line of Duty, and she was the voice of Lara Croft in Tomb Raider Legends and Anniversary. So that's an interesting bit of trivia. And she also is married to, if you like the sort of humour like this, I would definitely recommend a show called Succession, which was created by Jesse Armstrong, who, if you're a fan of the show Peep Show and Dead Meat, Fresh Meat, I think it's called, and what was the other one he did? The Thick of It. I would definitely recommend watching the show Succession. It's about a multimedia family in America who basically is trying to fight for a succession to the sort of dynasty of this multimedia empire. It stars Brian Cox and Kieran Culkin, and it's a great show. I'd highly recommend it. It's a great dark comedy, and I'd really highly recommend it. If you're a fan of the humour of Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, I'd highly recommend it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say for how you did Diddle Diddle Dumpling, and it's one of my favourite episodes, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And this is Josh with Whimsical and Interesting Musings, and have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye for now.